Welcome to the Beyond Divorce Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Today we have something a little bit different. Today, me, Armando, and Dr. Robinson is back by popular demand. He'll be joining me today, so we're going to do it a little bit different. Michael is in the back kind of cheering us on, but we'll be here today with us. Dr. Robinson, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so good to see you. So good to be back on the podcast. Looking forward to our conversation today.
No, I'm super, super excited. Well, today's topic is why my mom doesn't like my stepmom. Exploring loyalty binds, blended families, and the just roles that stepparents have in families. So Dr. Robinson and I have talked about this extensively off the podcast, and so we thought it'd be a good idea to have this conversation together. Dr. Robinson, what about blended families are interesting to you?
Yeah. So, I would consider myself a product of a blended family type situation, right? My parents were divorced when I was 2. And my mom remarried, my dad remarried. And I had a great step-parent experience, even though in their remarrying, my step-parents' children did not live with us. They were not raised with us for my stepmom or for my stepdad. But we had great, wonderful relationships. And some of the things that I'm seeing now related to step-parents is semi-foreign to me because my step-parents were great. And they had the rights and the privileges of my parents' spouses, which meant that if my stepmom and my stepdad needed to get on to me, it was what it was. There was no argument, no fuss, no fight with that. My mom was not concerned about my stepmom. My dad wasn't concerned about my stepdad in this regard of interfering with my relationship with them as my parents. They were very supportive. And so now we're dealing with a different dynamic.
Yeah. So you were very lucky in terms of having family members that were able to work together, right? They were able to navigate that without stepping on each other's toes or undermining them. Because I think a lot of times what I've seen is step parents come in and either they undermine the other parent or the other parent not in the home undermines their authority also. Like, oh, they can't tell you that. They're not your mama.
Sure.
Right? You can't say anything to them.
Yeah. So my parents were very opposite of that. My parents were more focused on what needed to happen at our house. What needed to happen to make things go well and smoothly at our house. Where the conflict would come in would be on the exchanges and the dates and the times of when we could go be with my dad or how we would get there. And in the very early stages, it was very difficult because my dad lived in Houston. My mom lived up here in the Metroplex. And there was just always this unnecessary conflict around that. But as far as us going to be with my dad, my mom was not concerned about my dad and my stepmom. She was not afraid of them mistreating us in any type of way or that somehow us having a decent relationship there was going to interfere with the relationship that we were going to have at home. You know, I did not feel like my parents used my brother and me as a commodity, if you will, as leverage pieces, if you will, to get back at each other. They kept their argument, they kept their conflict very much between the two of them. But me watching it was kind of painful. But I think because they kept their conflict between the two of them, it allowed us to have reasonable relationships with our step-parents. Our step-parents very seldom had to get involved, you know, to settle disputes between my mom and my dad. In fact, they never got involved. My mom and my dad, they fussed and they argued and they figured it out, right? And so it allowed me to enjoy my step-parent. It allowed me to embrace them as an additional father figure. So the idea that we have now, bonus parent, bonus mom, bonus dad, like that terminology was not present when I was growing up, but that's exactly what I had, you know, in my stepfather. My mom married twice. My first stepfather passed away. My second stepfather also passed away, but I was more of an adult when she married my second stepfather. But nevertheless, I still had great and wonderful relationships with both of my stepdads, and my stepmom eventually passed away as well as during my adult years. And I have a new bonus mom, you know, and so yeah, so that was my experience, is that I had wonderful bonus dads. I had a wonderful bonus mom, you know. There was never an attempt on my mom's part to interfere with my relationship, number one, with my dad, let alone with my stepmom, right? There was never interference on my dad's part. There was never action on my dad to interfere with my relationship with my mom, let alone my stepdads. So, and I think that we're seeing something differently now, and we need to explore how to address it. And so we'll probably get into this in the podcast, because I think that in some instances we're overcorrecting, and we're causing children to not experience what could be the benefit of a bonus parent in light of a situation that they did not ask for.
Let's get into that. And I think, to your point, part of what I have seen is, and I kind of alluded to that in the topic, is loyalty binds, which are essentially just, you know, emotional connections that I feel like I'm aligned, right? I have allegiance with my primary parent, or the parent of my origin, right? My birth parent. And so automatically that's built in. And so I have this person coming in that I didn't ask for my parents to remarry. And so now this new person is coming in. I don't know you from Adam, so who are you and why are you in my house, kind of situation. So there's an automatic, I think, buffer there. There's an automatic barrier that dismantling those loyalty binds, or addressing them, I think, is probably, maybe not dismantling them, but addressing them is essential. In your experience, what have you seen, or what kind of work have you done in terms of kind of addressing those loyalty binds that kids have with their birth parents, or what they perceive as their primary parent?
Yeah, so you use the word dismantling. I like to use the word reconstruct.
Ooh, right? I like that better.
You know, like, because the reality of it is that I'm okay with you being loyal to your mom, or I'm okay with you being loyal to your dad. It doesn't mean that you have to be rude and disrespectful to your bonus parent. You know, like, how can
I think you're right.
To a certain extent coexist? And you know, in essence, I think where the challenge comes in is that behavior tends to be reinforced by the non-reunifying parent, by the parent who has the sense of loyalty already. They sometimes unintentionally, but oftentimes intentionally, will reinforce that behavior. Yeah, you ain't got to do what she tell you to do. She not your mama, or that's not your daddy, And
Mm-hmm.
so, and what that does is that the child loses respect for that person, not only as an adult, but just as a person, right? They lose respect for them. Yeah. So when that non-reunifying parent reinforces that behavior, then the kid or the child not only loses respect for that parent, that bonus parent as an adult, they also lose respect for them just as a person, period. They become non-essential, non-important. Uh, they become just a random person, when in all actuality, they are not random. If I can give this one example that's separate from the idea of blended family, I recall when I was working at Stonegate Center, I had a client who was preparing for discharge, and we go through a lot of discharge rituals. And one of the things that we thought would be helpful for this particular client after he discharges was to go to sober living.
Mm-hmm.
And we cultivated a number of relationships with different sober living programs. And so we put in a lot of work and a lot of effort in figuring out which might be a good fit for him. And so we were talking to him about these programs. And so we came to the day of decision, and the client made this statement as we were making our recommendation: I don't want to meet him. And I said, well, what's in the way of you meeting him? And he said, it's just another random person that I need to meet. He's just random. And so then I said, okay. I said, do you consider me random? And he says, well, no, you've been my counselor for over 90 days.
Mm.
I says, right. I said, so this is someone that I've vetted to introduce you to. So if I'm not random and I've vetted him and I'm introducing you to him, can you give him a chance to not be random? And it really changed the dynamic, because when you came into the treatment program, was I random at that point? It took a lot of work and effort to get me out of that random stage, right? And so typically, if a kid is having a good relationship with their biological parent, and the parent introduces them, you can mitigate the risk of the kid seeing that new person as random if the parent introduces them well.
I would agree. I think to your point, what you're saying is I agree with it. I think a lot of my work, when I see step parents or bonus parents struggling with the kids, I usually say the road to that step parent is through their parent. Right? Yeah, it's through that relationship, because if I don't have a strong
Yeah.
relationship, I'm not going to trust who this person is. You're just bringing a random person, right? Somebody you picked up over
Yeah.
at the bar last night. I don't know who that is. Why are you in my house? And so I think
On the dating app.
on the dating app, well, you're right. They don't even do that anymore. They do it on the dating app. You're absolutely right. So I think that goes to it. And I think that also explains why the other parent, like not inside the home, feels threatened because they don't have a good relationship with their co-parent. So they don't
Yeah.
trust their vetting skills to this other person. So then they feel threatened. And so really the solution to all of that is mutual respect, trying to be like, having
Absolutely.
that mutual respect for this person coming in, instead of being, I always talk to people and being like, well, how grateful, like, how amazing is that you have another person who loves your children and is going to be there and take care of them? Why are we treating them as an
Yeah.
enemy as opposed to
Right.
another resource?
Right. Absolutely. 100%. I think one of the things here that we have to consider is that there are multiple variables that are in the way, that can be in the way. And it's not the same for every family. It's not the same for every client. For some people, it is very much an emotional issue. Because and you know this, we've seen this in the field where where parent and child have an awesome relationship, things are going great, and then the parent invites a new partner, and now the kid is angry.
Right.
They don't like that parent anymore, and they're turning all of their affection towards the other parent. We've seen that. We've seen where kid and parent, biological parent, have a wonderful relationship. Parent invites a new partner in, and it's great, it's wonderful. The other parent invites a new partner in, and now I didn't have a good relationship with that dad, and now I don't like his partner. So we've seen it, happen in multiplicity of ways. And so one of the questions that I often will ask in that latter scenario is, how is it that you can embrace your mom's partner, but then it's hard for you to embrace your dad's partner? Like, what's the difference there? Where's that challenge coming in? Because you're being incongruent, and some might say even what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're kind of uh, golly, it's a simple common word, not disloyal,
Genuine, not genuine,
hypocrite.
disloyal.
You're being hypocritical. And this idea, this concept, and I don't accuse clients of being hypocritical, but I might say something like, I wonder how a person might not see that as hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for instance, if one of the children is very loyal to, say, for instance, the mom, and the mom's family system, mom has a new husband and there are new children there, but very discontented with dad and mom and stepmom over there and the system that's there. And like, what's the real problem, right? Because at the end of the day, like, that dad's not abusing, dad's not neglecting, dad's not even trying to control, he's just trying to parent, right? And what I've noticed is that a kid will lean into the parent that is very lenient, right? Where they can get away with more stuff, and they will call the other parent's parenting abuse.
Oh, you have spoken. I am thinking of several families off the top of my head that you described that, which that parenting style is not necessary, would not be classified as abuse, or emotional abuse is what I hear thrown around a lot. Uh, when I correct it, and I usually say, well, it sounds like their relationship needs a little bit of work, but I don't think that falls under abuse. Or why do you think that's emotional abuse?
Absolutely.
And it becomes very quickly that it goes back to the connection that the other parent, like in that example, the mom or the children have with the dad. And because that relationship is fractured or broken, that they don't have that sense of mutual trust or mutual respect. And so this step parent, I always tell step parents, they're the easy target. They're the easy target to take it out on. Like, you're what caused this, or you're this and that. And it just becomes easy. And then also, if that other one of those parents is not married or doesn't have a partner, they feel ganged up on.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so they fight even more. I think, truthfully, sitting here thinking about it, I think I have more success when there are two step parents involved than if there's just one. That's something I'm like sitting here thinking about it, and I almost wonder, I'm going to go back and kind of think about this more, but off the top of my head, I'm thinking of a couple cases, but where I've had both two step parents on either end, there seems to be more of collaboration than if there's just one. I don't know.
Yeah.
My experience right now thinking about it. So
Typically, my experience has been that when there are two step parents involved, there tends to be more collaboration. Typically, it also depends on how much respect the adults have for each other. It also depends on the status of relationship. So like if this is a girlfriend versus an actual spouse, right? Or if this is a live-in boyfriend, you know, it just,
Mhm.
all of that depends. And this is the thing that adults need to understand, that parents need to understand. Your children are cultivating values. And if they see something that they deem disrespectful or distasteful, it makes it very difficult for them to respect you and to honor you. Now, I have a few teenagers that I see, they come in and they feel like their house is a mess, but they will never disrespect their parent because that's their value. That's who they
Mhm.
are.
Yes.
And I have others who is like, why should I listen to my mom? She's sleeping around. It's another man in the house every other day. And then she wants to call this man my man. I don't know him. And
Right.
so you have different variables there, you know. Uh,
And I think to that point, it's about the integration of when do you integrate and when is it appropriate to integrate, right? If it's just like, my third date from the person I met on the hookup app or
yeah.
the dating app. Let me be a little bit more couth here.
I
My
mean, call
apologize.
a spade, Armando. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I apologize, listeners. It's what you make of it. The apps are what you use it for and what you make of it. So whatever you're using or however you're meeting somebody, right? When that integration comes, because I think that does come with a level of respect. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think I'm even I'll say guilty of it in that, like, if I have a stepfather or a stepmother that wants to be part of the work, I kind of vet them a little bit and say, okay, you are part of the system. How can I integrate you? If it's just the boyfriend or the girlfriend, I'm a little bit more hesitant to bring them into the system because where is the investment in terms of being a part of the system? Because I can bring you in and you might be a part, but I think there's less um what's the word I'm looking for? The longevity or commitment
Yeah,
because there's not there. And we can debate like what commitment means and all that other stuff. But
absolutely.
I do think that there is a level, a degree to that that needs to be taken into account, right? That they are a step parent
Yeah.
and the parent part comes in because I think you are the spouse or a very strong committed relationship with somebody. I don't know. That's just kind of my thought on this.
Well, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think the role and the status of the relationships make a significant difference. And children in particular are not all that excited, especially when you get to adolescent years and teenage years. They're not all that excited to try to bond with somebody that's not going to be there,
Hmm.
you know. The little kids, on the other hand, they're still exploring. So they're not as bothered. Some of the things that I have seen. There's two things I hope that we will get to. One is this idea of, I don't want my child meeting your new boyfriend or girlfriend until I've met them.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
Let's get into that because we're talking about integration.
yeah,
Let's have
yeah,
that
yeah.
conversation.
And I'm like, so I went back. I had a conversation with my mom about this, because I was like, what would, and she said, well, I wasn't really worried about you all meeting your daddy's girlfriends. That didn't bother me at all. And then when I did meet them, they were nice. And so there was really no reason for me to get involved. In fact, in some instances, I felt better that they were around than when it was just y'all. So she said, I wasn't really concerned about that. She said, and I think part of it was that for my mom, she was so over the relationship with my father that the thing that frustrated her was not getting the support that she felt like she needed in raising us. Like, there was no emotional attachment. There was no, like, I'm afraid that that my kids are gonna be uh that whatever my dad had going on, that her kids, that would interfere with our relationship with my mom. Like, she didn't have that concern. And so she was not nervous or concerned about us meeting my dad's girlfriends, right? Nor was my dad concerned about meeting my mama's boyfriend. I mean, because, of course, he had his own thing going on, so he wasn't really, you know. And so, quite frankly, to be honest with you, the situations where I have seen this is in unhealthy ways where I have seen this is that it appears to me that the spouse that or the parent rather that is wanting this, that's demanding this, they still have feelings for the partner.
I think you're right. I think some of it, I think you're right. A good chunk of it comes from, it's like, oh, you're dating my friend. Who is that? Right. Like,
Yeah.
I want to vet you. So
Yeah.
I think there's a combination of fear. Whenever I control, I always think there's a high level of fear
Yeah.
that goes along with it. So I'm fearful that you're going to hurt my friend, or that you're going to be a better spouse than me, or you're going to be a better mother. And I
Yeah.
think it comes from internal insecurity.
Absolutely.
Listeners, I'm going to say that, if you catch yourself questioning or you're insecure, and where is that insecurity coming from? Is it because you don't have a good relationship with your co-parent, so you don't trust their logic, their ability to vet somebody that comes to their home?
Absolutely.
Or is it that you're insecure that, you know what, they're younger, it's a younger, prettier model, and you just are insecure about it?
Yeah, and it's not even that it's younger and prettier; it's just different, right?
Different, yeah.
And I've seen this particularly with babies, like
Interesting.
with the babies. I'm like, oh my gosh, really? I'm like, I don't want my baby bonding with someone that's just going to leave them.
Oh,
And so when I hear that language, I'm like, girl, your baby don't know what's going on. Like your baby 3 months old. That baby don't know nothing about, as long as you feed that baby and change the diapers, right?
Yeah.
So this is really about you, right? And they struggle to see that. They struggle to hear that. They struggle to know that. I had one person say, and they didn't realize what they were saying, but then they basically admitted to what the real issue is that, well, once he starts dating, that he's not going to be as available to me as he once was.
Which tells you everything. Yeah,
exactly. And I was like, that's the problem here. This has nothing to do with your kid, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that goes into, like, how do you integrating them, like the overstepping versus the under engagement, like where is the right balance of that, right? Because is it overstepping for me to be like, oh, I need to, it's like an interview, I need to sit there and ask, who is this person, what are your intentions with my children and my ex, or just not knowing this person at all?
So that's a good question that segue into where I have seen a healthy interest in meeting the new parent. All right. So on the flip script, I've had a situation where the couple divorced. They were actually married. They divorced. They have 2 children. And one of the parents were in denial. I'm going to try to be gender neutral here so that those who may be watching can't tell who I'm talking about. But one of the parents was in denial about the autism status of one of their children.
Okay.
And so in allowing the child to go be with that parent, the child left the house and was gone for over 2 hours. And ended up at a neighbor's house. The neighbor called the police because they didn't know who the child was.
Mm-hmm.
The child was nonverbal, so it took them a while to figure out all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course the custodial parent was like, yeah, see, that's my concern, is like, what if my child had gone somewhere else and gotten hurt, gotten abducted, ended up dead? That concerns me.
Right.
So like, I do want to meet who you're dating because I want to know, maybe I can get through to them that when my child comes over there, when my children come over there, that like for whatever reason, that other parent is not paying attention. But if
Right.
I can get you to pay attention, then I'm okay with that.
You use them as another resource,
Yeah, absolutely.
as another
Absolutely.
person to. I agree with that. I think
Yeah.
that's where, again, bonus parent comes
Yeah.
into play, where you can be that other parent, you know, or you have a better connection, or you can relate to them in a way that the other parent, that both parents can't sometimes.
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
I've
Absolutely.
definitely seen that, where they're like, "Oh yeah, my best friend is my stepmom, right? Or my best friend is my stepdad. Me and him are super cool." And I'm like, "Great." When stuff happens, who do you go to? I talk to my daddy whatever, right? Like the daddy J or
Yeah.
daddy whatever, that
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I have a situation, or recall a case where teenage kid, very close with the bonus parent,
Mhm,
very close with the biological parent, with that bonus parent,
mhm,
respectful with the custodial parent,
mhm,
but not that relationship still kind of clashes, but the
mhm.
kid is very respectful, right? Does not like the bonus parent in that relationship, right?
Oh, with the
With the
custodial
custodial
parent.
parent, right? But still very respectful, you know. And and it's I accept that because there are justifiable reasons that
Yeah,
this kid has. And I'm like, how are you able to maintain your sense of respect towards your parent? And at the end of the day, the kid is like, well, it's still my parent.
right.
It doesn't matter that I think that things are not going the way that I think that they ought to go. I mean, they're still my parent. I'm I'm going to work. I'm going to school. I have my friends. I have my other parent and my bonus parent over there. So I'm gonna go and kick it with them as much as I can. I only have so many years before I get to move out.
Yeah,
So I want to move out on good terms.
don't burn your bridges. I talk about that all the time. I was like, "Don't burn
I was,
those bridges."
I was like, and I'm like, golly, I wish all of my other kids was as smart as you.
Mhm.
And so much so that the kid is like, I'm enjoying coming to see you. I'm coming to therapy. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep coming. But I really think that it's my parent that really needs to come to
But I think to the point, right? If the title of the podcast is why does my mom doesn't like my stepmom? I think it comes down to it's a parent issue. Like
It
a lot of
is. It is. It
the
is.
mutual respect is not there, or you don't see the value, or you can't see past your own co-parenting and your ex and your own
Absolutely.
unresolved stuff to get past that. And I think that's the thing. And again, I think I've talked about this multiple times on the podcast is, the kids just want to make sure you're okay. And if you're not, it like just trickles
It
down.
trickles down. So to that point, I think one of the things that we've kind of unpacked here is part of the reason why my mom doesn't like my stepmom is because one, uh, her own insecurity,
Right.
right? So there's something in her that she doesn't like in her, and she is afraid that somehow the stepmom is going to do it better,
Yes.
right? And then two, that that she's still in love with your daddy, baby. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah. That being familiar with that person,
Yeah,
sometimes you
yeah,
miss it. Right. Or
absolutely.
I think sometimes you're still in love with aspects of that person.
Oh,
I
absolutely. You haven't gotten over. You have not grieved the loss of the
Mm.
relationship. You haven't mourned it, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and you still have this hope or this wish that it went differently,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so I think some of the things that come to mind for me uh, is that it becomes very important, very critical, right? That the focus be on the parent relationship between the biological parent and the child.
I would agree
Make
100%.
that healthy. If you make that healthy, then the bonus parents will slide in and come right along and be a support. That doesn't have to be conflict.
I
Now,
think, I would agree 100%. I think is if that bonus parent, that step parent is coming in with pure good intentions of wanting to be apart.
Yeah.
Like kind of figure you're right. I think the road to bonus parents, step parents is through that bio parent. And
Right.
with that said too, it's also the communication that the co-parents have.
Yeah. And so we have to be aware of, like, how did this bonus parent come into the picture? Because sometimes the bonus parent comes into the picture through infidelity,
Yeah.
right? And so then that causes problems, right? So that would probably be a whole nother podcast. We'd probably do a whole nother podcast when my bonus parent is my parents what they call them, side chick, or
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
when they come in.
yeah,
Well, and that is in my step parent class, I do have one that the role that one of them plays is called the replacer, where they
yeah,
do try and literally replace. They kind of sneak in, or it's perceived that they sneak in, right? Whether
yeah,
that's true or not, that's
yeah. Yeah. And so there was, and the one last thing, and I know we don't really have enough time to unpack it, but I got to
right.
throw this out there, is the idea of overcorrecting. I think there have been some mistakes that bonus parents have made. And so we overcorrect. And and this is the nature of our society. We overcorrect on a number of things, right?
Right.
So, so a bonus parent overstepped bounds, went too far in the corporal punishment of some sort. And so
Right.
now we want to tie the hands of all bonus parents. So I'm thinking about a case that I have right now where the bonus mom is not allowed to talk to the school about issues with the children, not allowed to talk to the doctor, not even allowed to discipline the kid, the children. And that, to me, that's demeaning, right?
Right.
Because here I am, they live in my house, and
Right.
you have basically put me on the level with the children that I have to wait for daddy to come home. I'm gonna tell your daddy when he gets here. Now, typically, when it was that husband wife relationship, okay, you just keep on acting up. Wait till your daddy get home, right? That's different than I'm forced to wait until your daddy gets home, right?
Right. No, I would agree. Yeah, and I think that's to your point is that's where when I talk about step parents and their relationship, like that relationship between the bio parent and the step parent is having those clear lines of like what are the expectations, how is that clear? Because there is nothing more than like what's the word? Like I mean, really depowering, really kind of making them feel like second class in
Yeah,
their own home.
yeah,
Even less than the kid to some degree, because
right.
the kid's not back. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, and this is the thing, Armando. I think it stems not just in the blended family situation. It stems from a community type aspect. When I was growing up, and definitely when my parents and grandparents were growing up, anybody could get onto a kid.
Ah, yes.
Anybody could correct a kid. There were certain people in the community that it was well known that, and we used corporal punishment growing up. My grandparents, they all used corporal punishment growing up,
Uh-huh.
and anybody could spank anybody's kid, right? But this was the thing: people were not walking around with that authority. They weren't like looking for kids to spank,
Right.
you know. But there was this communal expectation of good behavior, and what would happen, and nobody ever went overboard with it
Right.
when we were growing up. And so, somewhere along the line, somebody got their feelings hurt and they was upset about somebody getting onto their kids. And then it got to a place of you whoop your own kids, don't whoop mine, type
Right.
thing. And so now you can't whoop them, but you can't even correct them.
Right.
You can't redirect them. And so I like for us to consider Dr. Julia Hare.
Okay.
She was on a podcast. It was a podcast, actually a show years ago that was hosted by Tavis Smiley. And it was one of those shows where they talk about the state of Black America.
Okay.
And one of the things that Dr. Hare stated was that because when we removed discipline from the schools, we transferred power. That's her concept. That's her idea. And
Okay.
she said, and what happened is that things became very political to where the teachers are afraid of administration is afraid of the school board is afraid of the legislators, the legislators are afraid of the parents, and the parents are afraid of CPS, and the kids are afraid of nobody.
Right. There's no accountability.
There's no
Nobody's
accountability.
driving the bus except the
Right.
children.
Right. The children are driving the bus and they don't have the training or the capacity to
Right.
drive the bus in the right. And that's why we're crashing, right? Because the child is pursuing pleasure. They're not pursuing responsibility. All right. And so anyway, I know we're out of time, and
Well,
I open up a
I
whole
want to finish that thought real quickly because I think it ties up real quickly to what we talked about at the beginning is that mutual respect.
yeah,
Right? If everybody has mutual respect of each other, then I respect that, okay, you know what, you're parenting, I'm going to trust that you can handle it and that your spouse is going to mutually kind of respect our rules. And if they have to get onto the kid, that they're going to do it in a respectful
in a
manner and in an
respectful manner.
appropriate way.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it comes back to trust. It comes back to co-parenting, which, if that's not great, then that step parent's going to not do great in that system either, right? Like
Right.
if this system just isn't running, then the bus ain't running right. We're not going to get very far down the street, and the kids are the ones that suffer ultimately.
Right.
And so I think what I'd like to leave our listeners with is to understand that like we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, we're on the team of the children, and how can we keep that on the forefront as we work with the kids?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. And what does it look like, or what does it mean to be on the team of the children? It doesn't necessarily mean giving them what they want.
absolutely.
I
Right.
think that that's where the challenge comes in. Oftentimes, is like I think that I'm team child by giving the child what they want. No, I can hear what they want. I'm very open to what they want, uh, but I'm more focused on what they need. Now, if we can get what they want and what they need to coincide and align, great,
Perfect.
perfect. But if what they want is to not have anything to do with one parent and have everything to do with the other, when there's no reason why there's nothing that should be done with the one parent, I'm not for that.
Right. No, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, I mean, a lot of our work does come with just aligning co-parents. And again, if we align them, then we also align the step parent with their co-parent. So,
Absolutely.
but Dr. Robinson, thank you so much for your time, listeners. I
Man,
hope,
thanks for the invitation. I hope we get to
no,
do it again.
I would be lying if I said I didn't miss, I did not miss talking to you. I didn't miss seeing your beautiful
Yeah.
face
Me too.
every other day or
Yeah.
every day, really.
Yeah.
Well, not on weekends, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Uh,
hear what you mean.
You know what you mean. Dr. Robinson, where can our listeners find you now? Now that you're kind of splintered off, if they want to learn more, hear more about you, where can they find you?
They can find me at thecenter.org. It's thecentercounseling.org, actually. I'm at the Center for Integrated Counseling and Psychology. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. They can find me in all of those places.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Robinson. I appreciate your time. Listeners, I love it. Thank you so much. Keep moving forward.
Absolutely.